35 years back, Worli Prabhadevi was actually called as Dadar.
The builders who actually told people that we're giving you such large decks are now saying that decks are wastage. Karke andar lo. Why? They can charge you for it.
As per my estimates, actually, we're gonna add more than 27,000 apartments in next 7 years, including freaking every building in Lower Parel, Mahalakshmi. Buyer has so many options, you will never get a rate.
Then one day a client just walked in. I would like to buy it. Can you get me the best deal? Now I am still thinking at this point, 20 minutes, who does a 27 CR transaction? Welcome to the first episode of Zapki Open House. With Zapki Open House, our objective is to go beyond data and marry it with on-ground intelligence. Given that real estate is hyper-local, each locality is different and even projects in the same locality can be different. We believe that good and experienced brokers can give you insights about these markets in the best possible way. This podcast is an initiative to get you these insights. So today we'll be covering the micro market of Lower Parel and Worli. This market sells the highest value of properties in India. Last year, Worli alone sold more than 10,000 crore worth of properties. Today, we have three guests who have a cumulative experience of more than 50 years working in this micro market, and they will help us break the dynamics of this market. So welcome Kingshuk from Luxury Portfolio, Riddhesh from GURUKRUPA Realities, and Ankit from Property Services. Welcome once again to all my guests on this podcast. So the format is very clear. The format is that we'll keep it very informal. It's a discussion. It's not going to be an interview. So all of us can chip in as participants. Right? I'm here to learn from all your experiences, and hopefully all our viewers also learn from this experience. So let's start with Kingshuk, your experience in the industry. You've spent a decade plus. Would love to understand how the journey has been. So my journey into real estate was very unplanned. I had come to Bombay in 2012 from Calcutta, and I had started with telecom and Reliance Communications. Moved to Sahara. In fact, I was in this building in Parini Crescenzo, right? And then I got a job offer from Lodha. So for the Lodha Park and World Towers project, honestly, I had no intention of continuing for a long time at that time where I was in my life. But when I joined the company, I realized I'm good at it. I also like it a lot. You know, when ultra HNIs come to me, I've come to office in an Uber pool, right? And a guy driving down in a Mercedes S-Class is asking me, Kingshuk, what do you think? I was like, okay, that's power in a way, right? So yeah, I really enjoyed what I did, and it turns out I was good at it. And then about 5 years in Lodha, and then I started my own thing. Because also I realized that, so while I was in Lodha, and remember, this is the ekdam boom period, right? When 2013, 14, 15, matlab Lodha is launching Trump Towers. There's a line outside Lodha ka sales office from morning. You know, and I'm talking about people buying 10 CR properties plus. So I was wondering, what is the rush about? It's like 10 CR, 5 CR, 9 CR property. I would see a lot of brokers at that time come with clients, but they had no insight, no connect with the client. They got the clients from data calling leads, but we would do all the hard work. We as employees would close the deals, and at the end of the day, the brokers would take home a lot more money. So over 5 years of time, I realized that, why don't I do this? I have a connect with all my clients. I can build connect. I can speak well. So why not do this? So that's how I actually got into this. In fact, my partners, Nishit and Bunty, are the guys who were my brokers, so the first brokers in Bombay. They got me my first house. And Very then nice. I had a connect with them, and we figured that why don't we start together? And since then, we've been doing a lot of luxury property in South Bombay. Touchwood has been going good. So that's basically my 2 cents on it, my experience, how I came into real estate and where I am today. So you've been doing this venture on your own for the last how many years? Me and my both 2 business partners, Nishit and Bunty, and the company is called Luxury Portfolio. We started this in 2019 end. 19 end? Yeah. No, 2019 beginning. Sorry, my bad. 19 beginning. 18 end I quit Lodha. 19 beginning we started. So thank you, Kingshuk, for the background that you shared, and it's very interesting that how you've moved from the developers sales team to the brokerage side, and where you saw that there's more money being made. Great. So now let's move to Ridhesh. Welcome again, and would love to hear your story. When we were chatting informally, you told me that you've been in the space for long, but it's been a 35-year plus legacy that as a family you've been doing this. So would love to hear how you got into this and share your experience.
Yes, so as I told you, we are a 35-year-old company. So basically, it's a family business. Education-wise, I've done law, but I was always supposed to come in real estate because it runs in the bloodline. Also, been doing this for about 14 to 15 years personally. What I have experienced about the Mumbai real estate and especially the Worli Prabhadevi zone, which has happened because I've been almost watching it since childhood. So when we started, we were only focused on Worli Prabhadevi as the area, and we still majorly do that. 35 years back, Worli Prabhadevi was actually called as Dadar. Siddhivinayak was one of the highlight of the area. And most of the clients who used to come in, they used to say, why would people move in Dadar? And we said that this particular Dadar, which is actually Prabhadevi, Worli, and now the Elphinstone station has also been turned into Prabhadevi, that this will be the major hub. The story was told 35 years back. And that eventually has happened and people can see how it's happened. So transacting at that point of time wasn't really that easy. Because the markets were not that great. People were seeing that, also this was a mill dominated area.
Absolutely.
Has a lot of SRAs in and around. Thankfully, because it had a lot of mill land parcels and it still has few SRAs, there was a lot of infrastructure scope which was being offered on plate. And things moved on. Now, when I see everyone talks about Worli Prabhadevi, even in your intro, you said that the largest transactions which have happened in the country is Worli Prabhadevi.
Imagine a transformation from mill land to what it is today. It's a great transformation.
So when it started earlier, our concept was telling people, look, you are investing in future. Now people are like, this is future. What is the best in this future, which is there? This is present and the future. And what is the best, which is there? So that's us. So yeah, I've been doing this for about 14, 15 years. And it runs in the bloodline.
So largely, if what type of customer profiles would you be servicing? How do you get these? These are because you've such a legacy. Are these largely reference clients now mostly, or
for us it's basically only reference driven, and we have actually no social media presence. This will be the first, in fact. So because we have been there since a long time, we do selective work but quality work.
So thank you, Ridhesh, for that introduction, and it was lovely to hear the whole transformation journey that you've seen over the last couple of decades, I guess, right? So now moving on to Ankit. Ankit, you've also been in the space for like many years now.
Yeah.
We'd love to understand how your journey.
So basically, first and foremost thing, I'm a technological wizard turned realtor. I've done my computer engineering, and in 2008, because of the global meltdown, and seeing the money in real estate, because this is a business which was done by my father. So he is in this business for last 48 years as of now. And I joined him in 2008 looking at the global meltdown and, the money part of it. So yeah, I've seen the market totally evolving actually. So when I joined my dad, this area predominantly we used to work was from Cuff Parade up to Malabar Hill and Haji Ali. As of now, in our realtor language, it's called as the Golden Triangle. I think so.
Correct.
Because of the money, yes, it is called as the Golden Triangle. So my dad was predominantly into the leasing part. He used to give apartments to MNCs, consulates, and all those people used to come from outside. And he has done leasing in a time where today, when you're giving rental to an owner, we're only deducting 2% TDS. In those times, the TDS was 97%. So in that market, to make sure that the transactions happens and everything is clear cut, it's very difficult actually. But today, we've seen this market actually gone from what we were saying from Golden Triangle up to, what you discussed also, Worli and Prabhadevi. I would be very truthful. I started Worli Prabhadevi only in 2017 by that time. my major area of operation was from Kaf Parade to Haji Ali.
So mostly, like, I think as this area has developed,
Yes.
I think all of you would have seen some migration of that Sobo audience moving towards, right?
Yeah, mom,
So your area of operations also shift accordingly.
Yes, like how my father used to deal with people who were staying in Golden Triangle. So those people are still in Golden Triangle, but people like us, we have they have shifted to realigned to Worli Prabhadevi. So yes,
So you
and
still focus largely on leasing, or now it's a mix
I
of?
would say I am still 60% leasing and 40% sales and resale, out of which the primary inventory I would say around 15%. Rest main core area is leasing as well as resale.
Good to know all of you. Each one of you, I think, already knew each other because as participants in the market, I've seen that there is extensive networking and coordination to make deals happen.
Small world for us.
Right? There are both the synergies and conflicts that are there in the market, which we hopefully will explore during the discussion. But I think for the benefits of our of all the viewers who would be seeing this, what is your perspective of the current market? Potential buyers and sellers, or tenants and landlords can benefit from that. So maybe Kingshuk, you can start.
I think right now is really good. I think there was a slump a couple of years in the middle. So I think the good time started around 2013-14. It was went on a boom. I think 2018 is when it started declining. I feel that from 2023 onwards, it started going. I mean, just look at the transactions. Birla Niara closing at 95,000 rupees per square feet. Prestige Nautilus, a new launch coming up. They're quoting 1,25,000. There's interest. People have given EOIs. All the luxury projects in that area upwards of 80,000 rupees per square feet today, but people are buying. But then again, we also have a lot of people who come and tell us that, you know what, the stock market is down now, the market girega. मेरे को दिख नहीं रहा है. A lot of people who follow stock markets and the stock and the Nifty and all that, they will feel that अभी रुक जाते. 5 or 6 months later, we'll get a better rate. But I can't guarantee that.
But if I can just interject here, and it's open, right? All of us can
100%.
put in your points. The profile of customers buying here, right? Predominantly, are they not from the financial sector or business oriented
and financial?
So when their industry or their incomes get affected, which largely related to stock markets, don't you feel that as a consumer, as a buyer, they will have that? You would see that translating into slower decision making, all of those things, right? Compared to the last 2-3 years post COVID, right? I think all of you would have witnessed during COVID the kind of madness. Once that stamp duty cut had happened, just rolled out into a madness. Are you still seeing good velocity happening, or are you seeing that people are taking more time? Also, if you could share color on whether they're going for in terms of configuration sizes, in terms of what type of product is more appealing to customers now. Just please share your inputs.
So I see that I have a slightly different opinion, which is the markets as of now are really doing well. And also it will stay for a bit. Nobody can ever predict when the downfall or when it will be the best period. So what I feel is that if you see any new launches which are coming up, any developer coming, especially in the micro market of Worli Prabhadevi, the prices are 70,000 PSF plus to the north and be going beyond 1 lakh for some projects. We feel that someday or the other there will be a little correction coming in. And like you rightly said, that there is stock market which is falling down. Most of the money being pumped in was from the financial market, but they are not the only buyers. They may be the.
What are the other type of buyers that you guys get to see?
There are a lot of businessmen, there are a lot of industrialists, there are professionals, then there are stock market guys. But what will happen is there will be selectively few projects which will stand out. And there will be some projects which will have a major hit, because the moment a project is launched, everyone starts thinking about 70,000 and beyond. And most of the projects are in the 80s, 90s and 1 lakh as well.
So you're saying that you see fewer projects doing better and some may not be doing that better because there is a concentration of clients towards set of projects as this market in the near future.
See, what's happening now, I feel, is that a lot of projects are coming up with very large configurations. Yes. Like really large flats. 3,500 carpet, 5,000, 8,500, right? When you take a 40, 50 CR or 100 CR property, just filter down the number of people that can buy, right? So what leads to that is that basically a lot of lower configuration, like smaller sizes, you also have clients for that. It's just a different genre. You have filters for both.
So the kind of supply actually, because of I think COVID, right, has actually, as King Shuk said, has actually moved towards larger configurations. Whereas I think a few years back, 5 years back, it was a concentration of
Smaller, mid-size
builders trying to cut down on the configuration size so that it fits into the budget.
So I'll tell you why.
Right, and that I think has changed.
What happened in 2014 around is 2014, 15, 16 is it went from MOFA to RERA. Number one. So that FSI, fungible FSI,
Yes.
builders could not actually monetize the decks anymore. Right? So what they did is they said that we are giving you inside the flat. Deck is wastage. The builders who actually told people that we're giving you such large decks are now saying that decks are wastage. Karke andar lo. Why? They can charge you for it. Right? Now then what happened is a lot of clients came. That time they were like, okay, we'll buy this. For example, Lodha Park, India Bulls Blue, all these are glass facade buildings, right? Then a lot of clients came and said that, "Nahi, I prefer decks." So builders then went and now they're marketing decks as a luxury. It's a cycle. Everything is a positive that then becomes a bit of a negative to sell something else. Then they go. So that is why the transition happens. I guarantee you 5 years down the line, a lot of people will come and tell you that, large properties are too expensive. The decks are wastage. And some builder will come and say, I'll give you 5,000 in the house. No decks.
So it brings back me to one of the points that real estate always plays in cycles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So you'll keep a new story comes in and then that story will die down in a new story, right? So that cycle continues.
I think everything plays in cycles. Earlier we used to wear bell bottoms when we were kids. Then it went out of fashion. Now people are wearing it. Those retro glasses and all that. It's all cycle loss.
Real estate is about adopting, especially for the developers. If you guys would have realized 15, 20 years back, there was no concept called phases. Developers have started making projects in phases because a project takes 5 to 10 years to be built. The superstructure, and I'm talking about Worli, Prabhadevi micro market, where the superstructures are coming up and are already there. So what they do is they wait for one project to kind of come up. They test the market because real estate cycle varying would go change from every 7 to 10 years with a lot of fluctuations in pricing and demand. So they wait, they see how the market is reacting.
To see a tower one of a project.
Yes.
And then they launch tower two.
Maybe 5 years down the line, the demand would change.
Right.
So suddenly you will see they will coming up like a project having.
So gives them flexibility to adapt to changing.
So it's all about these people, the older guys who are there in the market since a long time. They have become smarter. With time, and real estate developers are any which way smart. So they have learned that you don't launch all the towers together
or all the floors.
All the floors together. Very true. Very
true. The 70-story tower, launch 10 to 20 or 10 to 30. Test the market. Why aren't you selling a higher floor? No, that's reserved for a higher price rate or some story, right? Eventually, you see what rate you've sold the lower floors at. Then you launch the higher floors with some new code name, Blue Moon.
That's a very new concept in real estate. I'm very sorry to say, but it came through our most prominent developer. But from there was just code names actually, and there's no relation to the
Navi Mumbai, Borivali. It's all code names.
I think it's not just in Bombay. It's now a pan-India phenomena.
Right?
That it helps the developer remarket, repackage the product and launch it again and again.
Locations also. Wadala becomes the Nuke of Parade, for example.
Of course.
Right. Low Parel becomes Upper Worli. Boss, kudos to the marketing team of Lodha, right? They've done a fantastic. I was there at that time.
Correct.
Right? I know the guys who did that. Boss, we were the first guys who actually had an AV room where clients came. We showed them a movie of what your lifestyle will be like. Right? You get out of a Rolls Royce, you come in, a butler opens the door for you. What do you see actually in the project? Gaadi leke aoge, traffic jam. bumps.
That's been quite an interesting point. Matlab infrastructure. We saw the transformation of mill to the superstructures today. What is your view on the infrastructure? Because it will translate into pricing, demand, everything, right?
Yeah.
Because we hear a lot of problems, right? So if you could, because you are living this.
Yeah. So like Kinshuk was telling in terms of inventory and all. I was just one day, like it was, we all real estate agents sometimes have a lull period, and I am like an information person, tech person. So I was just doing what, I just took out all the projects in the month, and the new project is gonna come. As per my estimates, actually, we're gonna have more than 27,000 apartments in next 7 years.
Yeah.
Including freaking every building in Lower Parel, Mahalakshmi. I believe what Kinchuk said, that it is, probably market which also drives the sales. I think it's going to be so much of options in market that prices real estate in, like what our parents have taught us, that this is some asset which will appreciate. My personal thought process, at current rate, the real estate, I don't see a lot of appreciation, because when there are 27,000 apartments in market, and my estimate is around, like I do resale also, so maybe at a 5 or a 10% of those apartments are also there in resale. So you got almost have 2,700 flats which gonna be in market at any point of time. And when you have so many, the buyer has so many options, you will never get a rate. So I think today what they are quoting the value probably will stay like that actually.
In my understanding of, again, I've also been in the market, but unlike you guys, I've not been on the ground. I've largely been the macro observer, and I have seen real estate prices not correcting significantly at any given point of time. But what happens? But what happens is there is a significant time correction. मतलब 2013 से 18 तक price चेंज ही नहीं हुए, मतलब स्टैग्नेंसी आ जाते हैं.
बट 2013 से 18 से बढ़ा, 18 से 23 नहीं बढ़ा.
तो point is that there is a lot of price stagnation, which is basically a decline only because inflation तो चल रहा है ना. Inflation तो चल रहा है. So time correction is a very very common way of real estate correction.
I tell you, if there are situations that actually are unforeseen, for example, COVID. Boss, after COVID, I'll tell you a story, small one. So COVID happened, first lockdown, nobody can get out. Second lockdown, but the first lockdown lifted for your special circumstances, right? Only essential workers, right? I called up a pharma client of mine without telling his name. He knows who he is. I called him. I said, sir, I need an ID card from your company. Just say I'm an admin guy or whatever. It gave me the right to put that large sticker in my car. Yeah. When nobody else was moving out, I moved out. I closed about 50 transactions during that time when no other person was going out, right? How the rates majorly corrected. I'll give you a simple example.
Correct. That time to panic ho gaya hoga.
But yeah, you're right. About the other
but
part,
after that it stagnated, and because developers. So I think just my observation again of how I saw as a macro observer was that during 2015 to 18-19 before COVID, right? Yeah. There was a lot of, apart from the sales and the project launches, there was a lot of debt that developers had taken to launch these projects, right? Yeah. And we saw this whole crisis which was playing out because not enough sales were happening to service the debt, right? And there we saw a lot of problem across cities, across developers. And as soon as COVID hit, there was a panic. But as Maharashtra government did that stamp duty cut,
the master stroke.
Uske baad se jo sales हुए and developers had learned a significant lesson.
They bailed the developers out.
And to be honest, developers का behavior पहले क्या होता था कि यार 10 यूनिट बिके ना, चलो प्राइस, right? मतलब you would have seen, maybe मतलब it is seen as a technique. But I would see, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but most developers now, you will see an intent to sell. Yeah. Price बढ़े ना बढ़े, पहले बेचो, right? I don't know if you see that changing now, but
I do.
But पहले था कि यार मतलब ये प्राइस चाहिए, अभी लेके आओ करते हैं, right? Maybe it's not in the face.
There is a major difference there too. If you would have seen the last 15 to 30 years, developers never made 5 lakh square feet, 10 lakh square feet. until and unless it was a Hiranandani, which did over the period of a long time.
Yeah.
Developers used to make 1-2 buildings max, 20, 30 story or super sky rises, and they had very few inventories to sell. Suddenly, when you start talking about a project which has been discussed many times, like Lodha Park, which has nearly 1800 to 2000 flats.
More
When you're selling 2000 flats, you cannot hold on to the prices. You cannot hold on to the concept of I will sell 500 flats when the delivery is.
A very good point. Very good point. So with scale, you have to change the way you operate compared to a single building having 100 units, right?
Yeah.
And when a large player does that, actually it affects the entire. When the large players take a strategy, such a strategy, it also impacts all the smaller developers who are around with maybe a single building as well.
Yeah.
But that's a good insight of how
But in COVID, I remember in terms of pricing, you must have closed deals and all. I'm pretty sure. We're very shocked in which some of the projects, what the original buyer bought it for. When he was in the market to sell it, he was actually selling what he bought it for.
Yeah,
So for me, growing up in a house which was real estate, and I knew it was we were like, how come a depreciation can happen in real estate? But of course,
unique situation.
only
That's
for
separation.
those who took the advantage of it.
At that
And
time,
then the
anybody who had
scam-
money
Huh.
was the king.
King, of course.
And somebody who needed money was screwed.
And I think the stamp duty, the 50%, where the developer said that 50%, why you have to pay the 50%? I will only pay. So free stamp duty, this also led to a lot of sales happening. I remember I was personally there on the 31st of March 2021. I couldn't enter into the registration of. And you know what they did? So as per the rules of the Stamp Act and all, you can pay the stamp duty, but you have 6 months to register. So people made payments of stamp duty before 31st March to register the deals actually in August and September of 20.
That showed up in the registration data also that we should track. But again, I think coming back to where we started, saying that आज क्या हो रहा है boss? But आज again coming back and maybe sharing across maybe pricing, maybe sales velocity, maybe lease versus sale. People are preferring to sell, buy or lease.
Okay.
इसके around maybe individually क्या points.
See, sometimes so मेरे को लगता है I don't understand you this, honestly. Okay, then I'll tell you why. There are projects that are struggling to sell above 80, but then there are under construction properties right next door, right? Quoting 1 lakh, selling at 90. And then I am wondering why. When you have something ready, okay, but then again, it comes down to density, it comes down to the number of people, the luxury of the project, so and so. So I feel that the market is not gonna. It might stagnate, what you said, for a bit, right? But I don't think it'll go down. Now for the next 5 years, and especially with the coastal road coming in, that whole Trans-Harbour Link Road with the access to your new airport, right? And Pune, Panvel, that side. I feel that with the increased connectivity,
Increased connectivity, just to again interject, increased connectivity will also benefit the other side.
Absolutely.
Right? And the other side has a significant lower pricing than this side. So for the longest period, I think this whole piece was stuck because this could create a price, price mismatch, which could make prices go down. But it's not happened in that manner because the kind of properties that are getting built or the infrastructure is very different here.
Yes, the other side will increase. But what will also happen is it's not that a person who wants Worli Prabhadevi, because Worli Prabhadevi and South Bombay comes with a snob.
Absolutely.
There are few markets like Delhi, Bombay, South Bombay, Bandra, Juhu.
Correct. You're right. Absolutely right.
Because there is a snob value or there is a social circle which is within the market.
Correct, very true.
So an area like Panvel will get a total boost with these kind of infrastructures coming in or any other connectivity which is happening in those areas. But areas like Worli Prabhadevi or those micro markets, Shivaji Park, Bandra, Matunga, they will still hold up some snob which they already have.
Yeah, but a guy who lives in Volta should not actually move to Panvel.
Absolutely. Correct.
No matter what.
No chance.
No matter what.
These are strong networks that can only attract more.
In fact, I would actually argue the opposite. A guy in Panvel who has the money with the connectivity, he might actually consider buying this side. more than somebody from this side going that side. He might say, you know what? Because I know when Lotha launched a couple of their projects, Park, for example, NCP, right? World Towers. We had so many bookings from people in Borivali. We had a couple of bookings from Dombivli, boss. You know, there were brokers from Dombivli who closed deals over here in Worli, Lower Parel, Upper Worli, right? So
what clients do is there is always a popular saying. Now the popular saying, suddenly there is a trend which is happening is where everyone is saying that the markets will fall down. But people don't understand that there are certain micro markets which are driven with certain factors. When few big guys come and say that, look, the markets are going to fall, maybe they will fall, but they will selectively fall and selectively hold up. It's just that when the markets are doing extremely well, everything
is up. You are absolute. So this is where I think your understanding, and when buyers come in, they have a macro news playing out, slow down, but to pick up which pockets are better, which projects are better, as you just said, right? One is selling at 90, which is under construction, and there is a ready at 80. And how do you?
Now I'll take this opportunity to market all three of us and Zapki and say that's when we come into the picture.
yeah, absolutely. So, but then again, it's difficult to convince the clients a lot of times that we are here for that. Because a client, okay, I'll give an example, okay? There's so much misinformation. If you go on any of the portals like Magic Breaks 99, brokers have actually listed 3-year Palika price. They've not taken it down. There's no policing. There's nobody actually checking that ये verified है कि नहीं.
100%.
लोग बोल रहे लोधा पार्क में 2 BHK 4 crore में मिलेगा, for example. नहीं मिल रहा है. Minimum is 5 CR. But then what happens is the client calls, says I want a 2 BHK in Lodha Park. कितने में है? 475 to 525 for example. CR. मेरे को तो मैजिक उसमें नहीं 4 CR में दिखा.
That is what even
then advertise sir वो तो पुराना listing है, आप कॉल करके देखो ब्रोकर को.
Hey, I have got a check ready. आप मेरा check ले लो.
That's a different way of saying it.
But it doesn't work all the time.
But होता क्या है कि see again, so as broker fraternity, there are players who are doing this because as we discussed that it is for lead generation.
See, eventually that client comes back to us. That I looked, couldn't find, now you get me something. It just takes a longer time because market, they will look for it. They will fish around in the pond. I'll give you this, such an information driven market nowadays. Yesterday, I was just on YouTube, just I see randomly browsing, right? There's 2 thumbnails side by side. One thumbnail said, why infrastructure in Bombay is going to raise the market rates of real estate. The second one beside it was, why is luxury market doomed? I was like, which one do you believe now? It's opposite, side by side.
The belief one would be the populist one, which is people and buyers especially. They would want to hear that the market is
going down.
Every market.
And I think the insight that we are getting, or from what I'm understanding, is that there will always be pockets.
Yeah.
And that is with pockets which are doing better, pockets which will go down with markets. That is the art where how do you figure those?
I have an answer to what Kinshuk said, that one project is selling for a lakh of rupees while the other project is selling, 80,000 or 65. What I've realized, of course, doing 60% leasing actually very important thing in this thing, and which might be an answer to your question, is today people go to community projects like Lodha Park, World Towers or Rustamji, Crown, any of the projects, is for the people who stay there. People today don't have to go outside their building to network
their
business.
Very good point.
Simple point I will tell you, in Lodha Malabar, even if you are holding on to, if I have 150 crores, I can go in the building, but for them, I'll be look around someone who is like, okay. Why? Because you have the top of the industry staying there. So it is the gentry which stays inside the building also matters a lot. That is why someone who has taken a Prestige Nautilus, okay, selling at 1.25 as you say, and someone who's taken probably, let's say near about, I know 1 is like Dunlop House, which is like again an individual building, or you might have Sirsa. Birla's new project. I always mispronounce the name. Silas. So someone staying in Prestige Nautilus, buying at that, and someone staying in, Birla's project, are going to be two very different gentries actually. So I will stay in that building because I want to pay for the money for the gentry, not what it offers to me, because it is not the home. It is basically for a fraction of the cost which I would have to invest for my business. I can stay in that building, probably network with people, because all the like all these newer buildings you have those apps also, so everyone knows who is the other person. You're meeting those people down and doing. So I think so. Gentry is playing the important role in deciding which building commands what. Gentry is very much important. Well, I have seen that in.
Give you an example, there is a
Yeah.
building. That's why I'm not taking names of the building, but now I will.
It's okay.
This is will maybe
Yeah,
this is what
please.
he's saying. It's also going to put them on, like, people would start recognizing. So there is a building called Beaumont.
Beaumont,
Which
yeah,
was
yeah.
kind of a textbook project for any of these developers, because when they started,
Yes.
it was one of the first projects to say, look, I'm going to make an ultra luxurious project, and how. So that was one project which I have seen in my career where they have done thorough profiling of clients.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you do that, it also hurts certain profiles as well. So it can be, anyone say that whether it's a right thing or a wrong thing, but eventually it paid them because they were doing thorough profiling. So they were creating that it's very hard to get in. And a lot of people do that, and it worked. Plus, they had a lot of other factors is entire 6.5 acres only having right now currently 120 families and
Yes.
150
Low
flats.
density.
Very low density.
Extreme, I think one of the lowest density in South Bombay, which I have come across.
True, very true.
So these factors coming in and then many more would kind of add on to the product appreciation, and
Yes.
such kind of projects will never get affected with the market.
Yes.
Whichever
There
very
even I will say.
selective.
So I think again, when we say market is going through a downturn or a slowdown, it largely, in my view, would be time correction of prices and lower number of transactions compared to, say, if in a year there were 10 transactions, now there will be 5.
Yeah.
So maybe that is a indicator of slowdown. But from what I can maybe what I'm picking from the conversation is one, that we feel that there will be some stagnation post the boom that we've seen. There will always be projects which will stand out.
Yeah.
These, as Ankit nicely put it, that some projects have now become communities. These networks are so powerful that there is a price to get in. There's a price to get in. There's a premium to be paid for that.
Yeah.
So therefore there'll always be pockets which will keep doing well.
Right.
But there's a general stagnation that we see compared to the last. Just it's a comparison, right?
You see, I don't know if you heard this project called DLF Camellias.
Everyone would have heard of it.
Gurukrupa.
Yes.
Now, a lot of the developers are quoting 200 crores. A lot of people are saying that it's not really 200. But when you visit the project, they've done a fantastic job with the entire project. But it's like how you have at Beaumont, or maybe how you will have at World Towers, or maybe you will have similarly to 360 or Oberoi. But when you go and see their management, what they have done to the clubhouses, you go in, you get a 7-star feel, there is a butler waiting for you, there is a concierge, and in true sense, a lot of developers say it, but when you go there, the butler goes away after 2 years, the concierge goes away, because everyone wants the maintenance to come down.
Down.
Correct.
But these guys are at a maintenance of 7 rupees per square feet. And here we are.
That's
a lot of
low.
developers, it's
Very low.
extremely low.
And ours is like
Though it's not
35 or
sellable, so there is a
So
catch.
if you can,
12 हो जाएगा, 12-13. But then when you see developers here for a 2000 also with density, you have it for 25 rupees, 22 rupees, 30.
That's minus property tax. Plus property tax.
Matlab, if we look at, say, a 5,000 square feet type of apartment,
In South Bombay,
what are the highest maintenance charges that you would have?
35 approx.
No, in terms of I'm saying quantity, the value of per month, right? Per square feet.
I have personally seen 3.5 lakhs in Bandhan. But that's a 7,500 square feet apartment. That's in Malabar Hill. Okay, but the house is also 100 crores.
Correct. So you've seen 3.5 lakhs per month.
Yeah.
Anything anyone else has seen?
Yeah, Lodha Volta, CL, 5,400 car.
Yeah, correct. You're right.
32 rupees.
So almost 2 lakh rupees.
I don't
Per
think
month.
it should be seen you should not see the quantity. You should see how much per square feet. Because quantity can be, there will be a guy with 750 square feet paying X in the same project. There will be a guy with 10,000 square feet paying a Y.
Why?
I feel that you have to see how much is per square feet.
Per square feet.
That's the number that is often quoted.
7 lakhs in terms of numbers, but that
20,000 square feet apartment.
Of course, true.
60 rupees per square feet.
60 rupees.
I think it's the
In
highest.
Bombay.
I think
In
Possible.
Bombay.
You got to name the project was.
It's Oberoi 360. There is Four Seasons. So they are all around from 40 to 60. Then depending if what category you are in, whether you are with the Ritz or you are in the 360. So I've seen those kind of maintenance also. But look, it's like a saying. A guy who runs a Rolls Royce doesn't
Look at the
correct. Absolutely. Correct. So great, So it was great understanding.
But I would like to add, because we're just talking about the sales, let me tell you the lease part.
Yes, absolutely.
That is like a market just meaning. We're just saying that market goes up and down and all that. I don't know about the sales, but leasing market, it's gonna be very, very hot for next 5-6 years. South Bombay, maximum building are going for redevelopment. Okay? Secondly, I have personally seen, like Kingshu, because I think you stay in Lodha Park, right? There are a lot of apartments in Lodha Park, okay? So in Lodha Park, themselves, there are almost like 12-13 brokers actually also staying inside there. But moment an apartment opens up and the owner says that, hey, my apartment is going to get empty in next 2 months. There are people like, you know what, keep the token check. I don't want to see the apartment. You give me the apartment after 2 months. That is the amount of demand in that location. Let me tell you, 90,000, 2019 to 20, COVID was going on. 21, I think so, everything opened up and people started coming back. 22. 2021, Alura, which is 2 BHK in Lodha Park, at 1.15 lakhs for a normal builder furnished apartment. 2022, 150. 2023, 180. Today, 2.5 lakhs. It's a 60% increase, and that's not the only building. You have World Towers, 2.7 in 2022. Today, I just finished a transaction yesterday, 5 lakh rupees.
And you continue to feel that rental growth will continue because the demand of so good point. So one interesting insight is that because of redevelopment activity across South Bombay, there continues to be good demand for rental, or good quality rental assets, and because there will be demand, pricing growth is
Let me tell you, in all these years of my real estate, like 17 years of real estate, like only in last 5 years I realized, we used to say that, you know what, rental is only 2.5%, 3%. Today rental has reached 4.5, 5% also in some places. Yield, rental yield. It is coming very near to commercial, commercial ROIs and all. So rental is going to be the next big market. And today, all this apartment also coming up.
On that note, I really hope my landlord doesn't watch this.
Very true. Yeah. That's happening.
So very, very good to hear the insights about the market. We have an interesting section now. You guys would have serviced hundreds, if not thousands of buyers, and sellers and landlords and tenants. Can you, each one of you, highlight one unique story? Would be say that was drove crazy, good, bad, ugly, whatever, right? So you should start.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I really learned when I joined Lodha is not to judge a book by the cover. Okay, I'll tell you why. When I joined, they were doing the Trump Tower launch. At that time, it was profiling, only profile clients and all. So I had just joined, right? So I was this Chunnu Munnu guy. They told me that shadow the veterans, right? Learn how to sell a luxury property. So I was going with the guys. Then one day, a client just walked in. He was wearing a slightly phata hua pajama, very loose shirt, was carrying a theli. No profile, nothing. He just walked in. He had told the receptionist that I'm interested. So all the veterans, all the guys who were servicing the property, so were like, yaar, ye to client nahi lega. Look at him, phata pajama, theli leke aaya. So Kinshu to handle kar. That was my first proper client. I went, walked up to him, introduced myself. He said in a proper English, proper well spoken, right? Yeah, I was just in St. Regis. I'd come out to get a smoke. I saw the hoarding. I thought I'll just walk in and have a look. I had no plans, but I just thought I had some 2 hours. Like, great, okay. What are you looking for? Just show me what you got. Showed him the property. I got 20 minutes, I got to catch a flight. Done. Showed him the property, showed him the show flat. That's it. That's pretty small. Like, where do you live? I live in Delhi in a 10,000 square feet bungalow. Like, okay, there's potential here, right? My head, I'm thinking incentives, right?
True, very true.
I'm like, okay, there's potential here. Okay, what do you have? So a 3 BHK is 1,300 carpet, 4 BHK is 1,500. It's too small. I can do a jodi for you, sir. I have something on the 59th floor, 27 CR. I would like to buy it. Can you get me the best deal? Now, I am still thinking at this point, Worli there.
Goli
hai. 20 minutes, mein, who does a 27 CR transaction? I go to my site head. My site head tells me, yaar, he's just making a fool out of you. Like, sir, rate to do. बोलता है अच्छा अच्छा 27 करोड़ 20 lakh something था बोलता है 27 round figure करते I went back to him I told him sir 27 CR round figure all in बोलता है एक काम कर डिस्काउंट मत दे 20 लाख रुपए का डिस्काउंट थोड़ा तो मान रखो राइट बोलता है my assistant will call you tomorrow get the RTGS details and I'm not carrying anything with my checkbook nothing so we'll call you tomorrow बोल के निकल गया तो मैं सोचा अरे यार ये तो हो गया ये तो 20 मिनट खा के गया राइट सुबह 9 बजे सीलिंग में आ रहा हूँ कॉल आया मुझे आई एम सो एंड सो कॉलिंग फ्रॉम दिस पर्सन्स ऑफिस कैन यू प्लीज सेंड मी द बैंक अकाउंट डिटेल्स मैं सीलिंग के बाजू में गाड़ी रोका पुलिस पुलिस और 2000 का फाइन लगा दो नो प्रॉब्लम कॉल्ड अप माय ऑफिस लाइक आरटीजीएस डिटेल भेज जल्दी से भेजा उसको बाय द टाइम आई रीच्ड ऑफिस द टोकन वाज डन फॉर अ जोड़ी फ्लैट My first transaction was 27 CR transaction. That's when I realized that it doesn't matter if you've rolled up in a convertible car or you've come in a, phata hua, slightly, judge like what you would judge.
So great point, right? Don't judge
the
book by the cover. That's a good. That's a good.
If this client is going to see this interview, he's going to call him out like मैं गोली देने वाला बात कर रहा हूँ.
Actually, I have 2 or 3 of those, so all 3 of them will be confused. Which one I'm talking about?
Lucky correct. Nitesh, तुम बताओ any unique experience that you've had over the
Again, like we had so many, but there is one which I was really surprised because my mother is the promoter of our company, so she's kind of my little boss.
nice.
And she kept on giving me insights that, in a transaction, and especially a lease transaction, even license transactions, the deals can kind of not go through for the frivolous or the smallest of reasons.
Yeah.
And I never really believed into that. I was doing one transaction wherein the rental value was nearly 7.5 lakhs. So pretty much decent. And everything was closed. And when you do a lease transaction, you always talk about the amenities which come inside the flat or what the landlord would do or what the tenant would do. And there was one thing which was not discussed because it was something which was very small were the fans. So towards the end when we were kind of closing on the amenities and everything, the landlord said, look, I had said I will not put the fans. The tenant said, in a city like Bombay, how do you live without the fan? So then they started negotiating on the fan.
On 7.5 lakh rent.
What happens?
And fans is
So I intervened and I said, look, I will pay for the fans.
Yeah.
They said,
Yeah,
why don't
you
you pay for the
fans.
fans?
Yeah.
So I said, so what I realized was it was not about the fan.
It's about the ego.
It was about the ego.
Ego.
When there are people like this, when they are transacting, it's about the ego then. And my deal did not go through. So then I realized that when you're kind of dealing with such things, you also have to deal with such kind of stories.
And clearly in such markets, ego is a
The big
thing to manage.
huge thing.
Great story. Ankit,
I have actually 2, but I will tell you in very short form. Both are very interesting. Point number 1, first story, took a client to Lodha Altamont to buy an apartment. Everything done, client liked, father liked, good property. But the mother, took the mother to that apartment, goes inside, mother goes inside, has an entire look and all that. Goes and calls the son and say that, you know what, from tomorrow now, you start going to office 1.5 hour, 2 hours late. So it's like, what happened? बोला नहीं मतलब तेरे को अभी कल से थोड़ा एक्स्ट्रा काम करना पड़ेगा तो तेरे को तो थोड़ा लेट जाना ऑफिस में. बोले मम्मी आप बताओ तो प्रॉब्लम क्या है. बोलते पूरा घर चेक करके आए, कपड़े कहाँ सुखाऊं. Typical Gujarati person. Like on record, I'm not saying that building had a design issue, but the windows were opening like this much only. कपड़े कहाँ सुखाओगे. फॉर अस कपड़े सुखाना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि खिड़की के जाके सुखाओ, बट ऑफकोर्स कुछ जगह तो होनी चाहिए जहाँ पे आप कपड़े सुखा सकते हो. सो माई डील गॉट कैंसिल्ड जस्ट बिकॉज द डेवलपर forgot to have a place to sukao bikes. And my second deal is client comes, says, hey Ankit, I've sold a land in Delhi and I have capital gains and I have to invest into an apartment. And I have to invest into an apartment under section 54F. Section, there is a section 54 and there is a section 54F. First and foremost thing in my life, ये होता क्या है. फिर जाके मैंने बोला कि आप जब लैंड बेचते हो और उसके सामने आप अपार्टमेंट्स खरीदते हो तो आपको सेक्शन 54F लगता है कैपिटल गेन्स के अंदर. अब पॉइंट ये बोलता है कि मेरा ठीक है आपको कितना इन्वेस्ट करता है. बोला 50 करोड़ रुपए. मैंने बोला 50 करोड़. बोलता है एक ही घर में डालने का है और मेरे को आगे जाके अपार्टमेंट बेचना भी है. और इस मोमेंट पे आई डोंट वांट टू गो अहेड एंड बाय अ वेरी बिग अपार्टमेंट. सो व्हाट डू यू, मतलब तू क्या प्रपोज करता है कि मेरे को आज चीप मिल जाए और मैं आगे जाके बेचूं तो मेरे को अप्रिसिएशन में मिले. सो इन माई माइंड मेरे दिमाग में ये था कि भाई उनको अपार्टमेंट दे, नॉट नेसेसरी आज से 3 साल या 4 साल जब वो बेचें तो उनको he might get a good of appreciation. So which project should I go and all? So Worli में best project as Kinshud has told at multiple times. मैं like okay let's go and अब 50 करोड़ का प्रोजेक्ट है, वहां पे एक अपार्टमेंट 5.5 करोड़ का है खाली. तो बेसिकली वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट 10 अपार्टमेंट. सो क्लाइंट को सब पसंद कर लिया, सब हो गया. बोलते ओके आई विल कम बैक. चेक नहीं दिया. बाय दैट टाइम 2 वीक्स के अंदर वो उसको जो पसंद आया था उसमें से ऑलमोस्ट, सो ही लाइक द एंटायर कॉट सीरीज. उसमें से नीचे के 2 फ्लोर्स के 4 अपार्टमेंट बिक गए. बट हमको तो अभी चाहिए था एंड आई मस्ट कमेंट about that they managed to still do something for me. So now what they do, they called up those buyers and said that hey we'll give you the apartment on the higher floor, please leave this apartment. That buyer had actually
other 4 buyers. Other 4 buyers. That's
10% they had already paid on the apartment. So the developer said okay I'll give you, and he gave some goodies to them. In that what happened, out of the 4th buyer, in the 4th buyer bought in his friend who had bought the 4 BHK in Kiara. So he said that now friend has said to me that he bought because of me. I want him to also be shifted. So that got shifted. Now that problem is solved. We have a quad apartment. Now you cannot go ahead and show the tax authorities that it's a quad apartment. It has like 24 bedroom, 24 bathrooms and all, because as per the rules you're supposed to have one apartment.
BMC approval.
Yeah. So first half of the building I converted. So that building is 67 stories. 53rd to 57 I converted into a penthouse. Now if you convert into a penthouse, your stamp duty gets increased by 25%.
Yeah.
Again, who pays? Buyer. One thing only, to developer, like I'm paying so much of money, you take the hit. Hit is only 12.5 lakhs, but technically not done. 12.5 lakhs each person, just 25 lakhs up or something. But no one is willing to take it. So as usually sometimes you do, like is to be paid. Whatever the developer is paying me, please cut it from that, but let the transaction go through. वो हो गया. Now, this building, when we were buying, was without OC. Now, when we bought, is with OC. They sent a letter to the BMC to make amendments in the plan to show that as a penthouse.
Right.
That was done. Now, how do you connect the 4 apartments together? Penthouse, हम penthouse बना रहे हैं तो lift तो चाहिए. OC ready building. Apartments on the 52nd floor, we had to actually cut the base of a building which is already, and that's a construction challenge. I must say to you, in my first time in my life, not only the sourcing, the legal sourcing, no, it went up to the construction team actually. I was coordinating with the construction team. And then we found out a way in which, we put the lift and also. That was like one very different transaction. And I think so.
If that building ever has structural issues, you know who to blame.
Yeah. And by the way, I think so, as Zapki, you all released the list. That apartment actually came in 100 most expensive apartments sold in 2022. Wow. In that report, is there.
Good to know that.
But
one of the persons involved in the transaction was you. So good to hear these stories, right? And these are stories that I think in our subsequent episodes also would love to bring out these stories so that customers, buyers, sellers know that there are such situations, and it's not unique to them, but these are things that they can learn from. Uh, Now moving to the next section, right, wherein I would love to hear from you about which are your top five projects in the markets that you service, right? It could be new, old,
Under
it could be under construction, it could be all right. New, old is there, and then very premium, economical, all of these, right? Across range, right? Top five projects, and maybe also, right, as a group, we can just throw some pros and cons so that people who are looking at it can, know what are the pros and the cons of each of these projects.
Okay, so I would say in terms of an entry into that area, Worli, Low Parel, I think Lodha Park is great. Starting with the 2 BHK, the price points are about 5 CR entry. It's a great community. I live there, right? I can tell you people have made friends for life over there. People don't want to move out. A lot of times I know people actually want to upgrade within the complex. You would know that as well. I like World Towers, but a lot of clients will say that I don't like the circular layout, it's not Vastu compliant, but jisko lena hai, wo lega. Same thing with Lodha Park. A lot of people will talk about density. So that I would say is negative, but it seems to work, Under construction, I personally feel that 25 downtown is a great project. Uptown ka.
25 South.
No, 25 downtown.
Okay.
It's the same developer.
Understood.
25 South is in Prabhadevi. This is Mahalakshmi, right next to Wellington Golf Course.
What a view.
What a view. And I can tell you one thing. If they deliver what they're promising, in the next 5 to 6 years, it'll probably be the best luxury project in the South Bombay area. But again, they must deliver. But I feel it has a lot of promise. Birla Niara I like, but I don't really see that kind of an appeal, as to why it would command a 1 lakh rupees or a 95,000 rupees per square feet rate. I'm guessing as a developer. I haven't seen Prestige Nautilus yet, but I like Kalpatru 1. That's in Worli Naga.
Yeah.
That's a new project. It's again 3,400 minimum, 3,600 minimum.
3,600 for the 3 BHK and 4,700 is
4,700 for the 4 BHK. But I feel these projects are good as of
Great.
Apart from these, of course, there are a lot of projects, but I think these would be my top as of now.
Ritesh, what about you?
So I feel that there are a couple of projects which are already up and there. I would really rate them as one of the best projects. One of them is Beaumont, of course. 2008 is when
17
years they had like the first tower delivered, but the amenities got ready in about 2010. So the 15 to 17 years of the maintenance of the building, because main challenges come in after the developers move out.
True.
And that has happened in very few developments as of now. So the way they have maintained the society, along with that, the kind of gentry lives in and the 1.33 FSI which is there, and the location. So it has almost every box ticked in that particular project. Of course, you pay for it too. The second one which I feel is doing well and has done well is 25 South, the Reddy Towers.
For sure.
For the kind of location. Location is a bit compromised for a lot of people because there is a gully which you need to get in. But after that, it's a very peaceful area, almost sea-facing project, decent prices, almost at par with the other under construction projects, and you get it ready. For the under construction ones, I think developers are doing well. They are really trying hard. Birla has, in the second tower, they have got very good layouts coming in. But I think for Birla is also about the culture which they have set. It's not just the project. They've obviously hired the best guys. And I feel that for under construction, only time would tell for these projects. Because I feel the kind of pricing which is going on, you need to enter in the right price for these projects. So I would stick to these two which are there. And then obviously Lodha Park is great as well for that ticket segment. I don't think there is any other competition which they have. If somebody is looking for a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, or even 4, the offerings are as good as suburbs in terms of pricing. But the quality and what they have built, quality in the sense, the aesthetics of the project. I mean, that is...
So you have Beaumont, 25 South, Niara 2, Lodha Park.
And to be decided. And time will tell.
Time will
So there are many more, but then for that,
Yeah, correct.
do visit us.
So Ankit, what about your picks?
So one very good pick comparing to Lodha Park for the same carpet area. Okay, not the same pricing, but near about the same pricing. I would give Prestige Jasdan
Yeah, very good.
because of the layouts. So it doesn't matter what. It's not of the pricing. It's about how. So a 900 square feet can be made by someone in a different way, by someone in a different way. If I have to give 5 crores, I will give Prestige Jasdan just for the layout of the apartment. Amenities and all, of course, I'm not comparing, but it's a good project. But if you go to and look to their second towers, 3 and 4 BHK, which is I think so 1700 square feet, and I think so the 4 BHK is 2100 square feet. Look at the deck area. Very right, Kinshok, actually. Technically, developers are giving the decks, but what the end of the day, what are you looking into? If I compare Lodha Park, no decks, but better view. Jasdan decks, but okay, kind of a view. But the building is also small. So that would be my point number one. Point number two would be Lodha Bellevue. Good carpet, decks,
Good rates.
good rates. Of course, 100% very good rates. Comparing to the same market, very good rates. And secondly, what I've realized, which I think so, Lodha as a developer must have learned from his previous projects and all. It's faster to make a project which doesn't has a podium area. I think so. That could be my information to all developers around. Lesser the podium area, okay, faster the building gets constructed and all. So I think so. Bellevue for the size, the layouts. Of course, there if you compare Prestige Jasdan and Bellevue, of course, again I will give Bellevue much better because of the carpet area and how the layouts have become there. So my second pick would be that.
But Bellevue is cheaper than just that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah, it's
So
still cheap.
technically, then
Yeah,
Bellevue is a much better option.
yeah. And
And
so yeah, I'm going on the comparison actually. So the third one would be so in terms of the carpet area and comparing two buildings together, I would any day pick up Modern Vivaria over Godrej Avenue for the same price range. Okay, in terms of the layout, in terms of the views. Okay, and of course the old Vivaria. No, I mean today also it commands what it commands. Nothing has changed for that.
But the modern Vivaria is going to block the old Vivaria completely.
But that is Bombay. You cannot do anything about it. As I told actually, yeah. So you cannot do. The fourth one, as Kinshuk said, even I am because personally I've gone and seen the show apartments, Kalpataru one any day for the height of the apartment, for the layout of the apartment, massive rooms.
13 feet.
13 feet, yeah. You could have this. And so I would give that as my fourth project. And the fifth one, I will give it for the view. Okay, I would give Sugi Marina Bay. Only for one reason, apartments not looking into each other. They have a complete sea view. And when you enter an apartment, it's a football field. So when you have a football field, which means there is no pillars in between. So you can make the apartment as you want. So that would be my 5 picks for the project.
That's great, and it's good to see a range of projects, not a lot of overlap. But
I would have said Marina Bay, but the maal bacha nahi hai na.
but यहाँ पे
See, I do research.
यहाँ पे हम कुछ बेच नहीं रहे हैं, तो it's your view across multiple projects.
I am not going to a Prestige Nautilus because of obvious reasons कि अभी इतना नाम बहुत कम लोग भाव बहुत है और बहुत कम लोगों को पता है मार्केट के.
Given that you also get to hear what is upcoming.
Oh, by the way, I have a 6 month also. That's 7 Mahalakshmi. It's going to take 6 years, but their first towers smaller 2 and 3 BHK. But the newest tower which is coming up have better 3 BHK. I've personally gone and seen the
7 Mahalakshmi Runwal. Runwal.
And very last thing I would like to say, people think that South Bombay में 1 crore का घर नहीं मिलता है. We just forget that in Lower Parel, next to the station, it is not a very well-known project, but there is Sumer Samak, okay, that is 370 square feet. That is at 1.30 crores. So,
very nice, interesting.
Guys,
Good
Bombay में,
Good point.
South Bombay में 1 crore में घर मिलता है. हमें को खाली पता नहीं.
In fact, थोड़ा trend पहले कुछ time पहले there were builders were making smaller apartments to fit into these ticket sizes, but I think
Lodha Vista is good. Lodha Vista is a very good project.
So good to discover a hidden gem as well, a hidden gem.
Yeah.
But given that you you are operating in those markets, and you also get to see grapevine, and what are the things that you're excited about? Any upcoming project by any developer which may not be in the market yet?
I am very much excited about Runwal's project, which is coming at Nerulak. They have gone below. I mean, I personally know that they quoted me 50 to 55.
Nerolac मतलब इंडिया बुल्स की बाजू में Worli वाला
जो उन्होंने लैंड खरीदा था.
I think so. That is the one project to be looked forward to because of the pricing as of now. I've seen no layout, nothing in the
to a
market.
couple of my clients, but they have always had a problem with the location. I know.
That though we in between the discussion we forgot only to discuss about it. Infrastructure, I think so. They have actually people from Phoenix Tower in Lower Parel. I just came across a report. They didn't mention the name, but I just came to know. People from Phoenix Tower building were actually written to the BMC that please don't allow new construction.
Correct.
Because the infrastructure cannot handle it. So it's gonna be, and I was pretty shocked by
another report that BMC will ignore.
yeah, and I was pretty sure, pretty shocked to realize BDG Chawl redevelopment. Of course, the tenant part is almost ready, but Tata has been given permissions to construct 60-story or 70-story 10 towers there.
Yeah.
Just imagine amount of inventory gets added to that.
Just imagine Imperial का view क्या होगा?
Imperial का view second, they have a commercial tower also coming.
The infrastructure, I think, is one thing which a lot of developers are ignoring.
Yes.
When the SRAs are happening and when there are redevelopments happening, especially the SRAs, obviously great for the city.
Yes.
These slums are put into the same pocket.
Yeah.
Right? That's the first thing that they have to come in the same pocket. The developer builds it, maintains it for 10 years. And the SRAs cannot sell. Everyone knows record on off record, they do sell. Things happen, then they go somewhere else, they would make something. But look, for that kind of strata of people, you do wish well. But what's happening here is when they make something like that, and there is a sale component building which comes up. The good part is that people would really get a lot of help in their homes and offices from those buildings.
Yeah.
But the bad part is there is a lot of economic disparity, which leads to extreme play of loud music, parking scooters everywhere. And this only somebody would realize if they're living there. It has happened with me where there are so many SRA projects. They're going there and you would see it, like, in Worli only there are so many SRA projects which have come up. Like there's 1973 which has come up. They have the SRA buildings there. You access them. It's very difficult to get like even an MUV or an SUV running in on peak hours or even non-peak hours. So I think the government needs to also do something about it. If they are making SRAs, give them bikes. So as in, give them parkings for cars, give them parkings for bikes. There is zero parking.
In fact, that's what's happening. Personally, I was trying to do leasing transaction in Lodha Vista. Buildings are connected to each other. You cannot, it's very difficult. Try taking your car inside. Although when we go and say like, oh, left marenge wo, but jagah itni choti hai कि one truck comes, you cannot go into your own house.
So government needs, since we're talking about BMC and all, I think they need to do this. They need to provide infrastructure for them, recreation areas for them. Because even they need to do things, right? They need to socialize. They are also growing, and you are handing over 1 crore plus apartments to them. So they are going to be rich. They have become rich. They also have certain requirements. So that kind of norm needs to come in.
Coming to our last and final section, right? So, we've spoken about the market, and, I wanted each one of you to spend some time on how you see this market unfolding over the next 1-2 years, and also give some tips to buyers on what they should be, as tips that they can keep in mind so that they can benefit when they're doing a transaction.
So I would actually say that buy to lease it out actually, because the demand is going to be...
Buy to lease it out. 2 transactions in...
Yeah, buy to lease it out. Yeah, so because the market is going to be very hot for next 4-5 years and all, I'm pretty sure you will actually... Your EMI, at least 70% of your EMI will be taken care of if you just go and lease it out, given the apartment rentals and all that. So that is what and secondly, buyers, it's always good to go and check about the project in RERA, because a lot of buyers check on a lot of things, but there's a section below which is legal encumbrances. It could be small things actually, but it is best to know. I would not like to name the developer, but as per the, so I have actual document. And by the way,
Give them some spice.
I'll give you the spice. It's a very big important spice. The developer is showing an image of the building with a swimming pool on the top, while they don't have the
Permissions.
authority and permissions to do that.
Oh,
I got it.
Okay. And BMC, we say BMC is this, that, and all that. A lot of people don't know, but there is a way in which you can go to the BMC website and download the actual plans and documents of a particular building if you want to go more deeper into it. So I will say that the buyer, just don't only see magic bricks and 19 acres for the pricing of it. See where you want to stay actually. So a lot of things can. Of course, for the pricing, yes. Pricing के लिए तो मैं I am the biggest.
उसमें भी कभी disparity आता है.
हाँ,
You know,
क्या disparity, मतलब so whatever transaction is registered ना वही दिखेगा यार.
वो registered value दिखता है.
तो जो
हाँ,
भी
तो उसके
उसके
बाद तो
components हैं, वही
सर,
दिखेंगे.
Sandeep is not wrong. What is happening behind the scenes? He will not know.
And that's why we always, through our product also try to push saying that एक transaction को लेके emotional मत हो जाओ.
Correct.
You should see multiple transactions
Correct.
because there can always be one-off transactions because of multiple.
No,
One
I
of
have
the
clients.
main reasons being a component, but
If
there are
I'm
multiple
negotiating
reasons.
a deal with a client for a property, they'll send me a screenshot of Zapkey. अरे तू तो 40 CR बोल रहा है, ये तो 25 में हुआ है, 2 months back, 30 में हुआ है, तो I'm like भाई, it's correct, but there's a other component also. Right?
correct.
It's 3/4 correct. Right. But there's the other component also. Right? We know what the transactions are happening at, right? But yeah, I mean, like, but I have to say, Zapkey has really helped. Big time.
it helps a
Big
lot.
time.
Thank you so much.
It really
Thank you
has.
so much. I'm sure you guys would also be using it to
Of course, of
Yes.
course.
I have to keep on buying credits for me. You get so less credit, actually get more credit, more money.
But any more buyer tips or your predictions that you think you're convinced about it?
Exactly one thing which I would like to say that you guys, there are a lot of buildings where there are some areas which are kind of utility areas or XYZ. You guys don't mention them too. So the rates, and then you give them the rates that it's 80,000 rupees per square feet. But maybe the price would be correct. Maybe the area
It's not. So we try to nudge users saying that if you want to be 100% confident about area, because we actually keep area type as blank in a lot of
places, yeah,
we don't know, and we try to nudge saying that if you want to go deeper, that's why where we have an agreement service, right? Because in the agreement you will find everything, right? So wherever there are obviously data will never be 100% accurate. There will be gaps, and hence a document behind that the transaction is where it will unlock more insights, right? So therefore we provide those documents.
And one more tip I would like to tell all the buyers and all, when they are going and seeing any particular project, please move around that location. You have to understand that you're not only gonna stay, but your wife are gonna go down and buy groceries and all that. Of course, I know there is a Zepto and Swiggy and all that, but there are still people who want to go down and buy their things. So how near they are, how much, how many, I mean, how far is the school and all. As of now, let me tell you, in the micro market area, there is no school except for DSB International. But DSB International is a different league kind of a school. We as people, we don't want to, not necessarily want to put them into a very big IB. So there is a lack of schools in that. If that comes up, then this location is hospital. Very important.
Videsh, any closing comments about prediction or any buyer tips that you think buyers should keep in mind?
I would just say don't panic when there are people saying certain things, because I think every second person is involved in real estate. And
True.
If somebody has made a great purchase and the markets have gone up, they feel that they know real estate like at the back of their hands. But there are people who do it 24/7 and
Yeah.
only bread butter. Having said that, we respect people's opinion on that. But also when you visit a developer, especially in an under construction project, and they tell you that so and so is on hold or so and so has been sold, it's very easy to go and access RERA. It's something which I'm telling with every real estate people would know, that just go check the unsold inventories or the sold inventories. You do get to know. Visit the website. It gives you a lot of information about the project, and then you make a cautious buy.
Again, a plugin for Zapkey. We've also started showing a lot of RERA data in a much simpler format on Zapkey. We created project pages wherein this is all now updated, and we actually now show a time series how this has changed, because RERA can only show you the current sold unsold, but because we've been tracking this, we can show how this has changed.
Time lapse.
Right, so that's Any closing comments from you?
I will just say that if you're looking to buy or lease, especially if it's a high value transaction, don't talk to 100 people. Talk to 2 or 3 people who you trust. Talk to a couple of good brokers. There will be, if you talk to 100 people, you will never end up buying, because somebody will throw a wrench in it. नहीं market down होने वाला है, नहीं अभी देखना rate कम होगा. You will get your head screwed up. Just talk to a few people who actually know, your friends, family maybe, but not 100 people. Just trust yourself. And at the end of the day, take a call. Because I have so many examples of people having not bought or rented when they thought the market will go down because somebody told them. And today they called me and said, I regret. I was getting someone an office in Signet in 2022. Kitna rate? 50. Correct. Usko 48 चाहिए था, 48,000. नहीं करना है. 2,500 का. Today is 90,000. 90. Right? He called me. He's like, you know what? I should have done it. I'm just saying, just at the end of the day, at some point, stop talking to 100 people. Just like in life, if you want to do something important, talk to a lot of people. They'll mess with your head. Just trust a few people and talk to them. That's pretty much it. It's not very complicated. You just want to buy something. There's these many properties in the market. There are these many people who really know the market. Talk to them. Finish. Kadam.
And as simple as that, I think so that should concise everything actually. Property market, everything goes up and down and all that. Base जिस पे बिल्डिंग खड़ी है लैंड ना, उसका जो रेट है वो कभी नीचे नहीं जाता है. अगर वो नीचे नहीं जा सकता तो उसके ऊपर बनी हुई चीज क्या गारंटी विल फॉल डाउन? नो. जो था वो है, उससे नीचे तो नहीं जा रहा.
Thank you so much, guys. I hope our viewers, whoever will view this podcast, gains knowledge about this market. You guys have talked about a lot of projects, your insights. Hopefully, we'll be doing a season 2 maybe sometime in the future, and look forward to seeing you all again. Please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. If you have any feedback or questions regarding any real estate project, please comment and we'll try our best to answer them in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Look forward to seeing you again.